Hello and welcome to JDUB and Friends podcast, episode number 24 with the one, the only, the legend himself, Chuggaaconroy. How you doing tonight, Chugga?
Yo, what's up, JW Marriott? That's code for I'm doing fine.
This is, like I said before the recording started, this is a dream come true for me that I've been watching Chugga since way back in the day. I think, I've subscribed probably since 2009, so I think.
I'll tell you what I tell everybody who tells me that. I am so sorry.
So I told him I would tell him a little story before the recording started. So actually,
Oh boy.
2009, I was in college in Michigan,
hmm
and me and my best friend were dorming together, and we found you because of one LP that you're doing called Super Mario Sunshine.
Oh yeah, that was back in the day. That was how a lot of people found me.
Yep, that was we were struggling to get through it, which was ironic because the hall we were in was a Super Mario hall. A lot of people played
Uh,
Super Mario. We had tournaments of Super Mario Strikers. That's how old I am. I was playing the GameCube.
you see, Sunshine's great, but like, it's great 90% of the time. The other 10%, oh. It hits you with the lily pad of death, with the pachinko machine, with the watermelon physics. Just
Yep,
the other 10% of the time, the game is just nasty.
exactly. Yeah, we were stuck actually in oh no, what's the name of it? Oh crap. The roller coaster area. Not why can't
Oh, the roller coaster balloons, or were
Yes.
you fighting Mecha Bowser?
No, we were doing the balloons, and I couldn't think of the name. I can't think
Oh,
of the place. But
Peanut Park.
thank you. I knew it started with a P, and the second part was
I
park, and
thought
I
that you were trying to
just
think of the mission name, and the mission name is just roller coaster balloons.
yeah, no. Yeah, but yeah, we actually played through the whole uh game thanks to you. We actually were started from your first episode, got up to episode 15, and then we were right behind you, so we had to wait for the next episode to come out because we were stuck on another section. And so
Yeah.
I will say thank you for that because 6 months later I dropped out of college. So
Mm.
thanks to you, I'm a college
I
dropout. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no, I fellow college dropout right here. I was trying to become a lawyer, and
Oh.
I don't know if I was gonna be a lawyer. I was thinking like lawyer or detective, and I ended up becoming an internet funny man by mistake, and I realized that I was spending so much money to be in college when I could just be making YouTube videos, and accidentally found my calling.
Yeah, it's insane the college. Like I'm $4,000 in debt just the college tech or college bills. So
Oh, you got off easy.
yeah, thankfully I just
Friggin' art school students getting like 6 digits of student debt when they get jobs that pay like $2 every 5 years.
yeah, no thank you. I'm not a fan of that. Um, so we're gonna start with some news tonight, and I told you you would love this news. So give me a
Okay, I'm
second
taking your word
here.
for it though, because I'm like, what news are we talking about?
And actually, let me go to your channel. So this is Chuggaaconroy's channel. He's on YouTube. He does have 1.25 million subscribers. Who's counting?
Mhm.
He's been doing our YouTube videos. Let's see, the oldest one, 16 years ago, guys. So that was 2008. That's crazy. And it was
I am
Earthbound.
ancient. hmm Well, my
Yep.
first video was like a score attack thing in Super Smash Brothers Brawl, but
Yep.
my first Let's Play video was Earthbound.
Yeah, 308,000 views on that Smash Brothers Brawl one now.
I guess just because it's been the first video of the channel for so many years.
Yep. Yeah, and his first Earthbound video, which Earthbound is one of the games that actually I haven't I got, and then I didn't get to play it because I moved to Florida to be with my wife. So I'm gonna use Chugga's Let's Play on that because he has a lot of information on it.
I do like my remake of that Let's Play quite a lot. I think it's one of the most well made things I've done, and I can just talk about Earthbound forever and ever. So I would sit down to record, and I'd get like 10 episodes in one sitting.
Yeah, yep. That was actually, let's see, it was Let's Play number, oh, where'd it go? Maybe.
37.
Yes, it was 37. Yep.
Wow, I know my own channel.
Yeah. Yeah, he's done a lot channel or Let's Plays. He's on 49 now, and you just finished this one, right?
Yes.
Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected.
Yeah, and I confirm that I will be making a 50th at the end of it.
Yeah, which is gonna be. That's. Did you ever expect to get to 50 Let's Plays? It's actually more than
I
that.
mean, I don't know. My evolution of still thinking that I'd be doing this, I was just planning on doing the one Let's Play at the beginning, and then I kind of realized, well, if this is going well and I enjoy doing it, I probably better start planning out some new ones. So, in like one night, I sat down and I came up with a bunch of ideas for like how I would plan out like different games and everything, and I came up with like 5 or 6 different ideas. Those were like the 5 or 6 next Let's Plays. It was like up to like Pokemon Fire Red, I think,
Okay.
was like roughly those ideas. There are some exceptions though, like Mario RPG. I think was voted on by the audience back then.
Yeah.
A few Let's Plays were voted on by the audience actually, but yeah, some of them aligned with ideas that I was going to make anyway. So I did that, and then I think in 2010 I got interviewed by Wired, and they asked me what my plans were for the future, and I was like, well, internet popularity is very fleeting, I'm not going to still be doing this when I'm 30, and whoops. I didn't expect to be 34 and doing this when I said that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was insane. We got, let's see, man, we got a lot of different. I mean, these are all I'm showing them on the screen right now. Yeah, you got Zelda Legends of Zelda Skyward Sword. That was
Mhm.
one of my favorites. Actually, I feel like was one of your underrated Let's Plays you did.
A lot of people tell me they liked it. They tell me that it was informative, that they
Hmm.
appreciated the gameplay a lot more. I've also had people tell me that like I should get into voice acting because of things that I did in that.
Yeah, definitely. So the news I brought up because after looking at your channel, I thought you would enjoy this. But so there was a gang that was trafficking fake retro video games worth 40 million, I think it's euros.
Hmm.
Uh, in Were just busted in Italy actually like 2 hours ago. So we got some
Wow.
good news. Yeah. So
That's what happens when collectibles become worth too much.
yeah. So they were coming from China. There was around 12,000 consoles holding 47 million counterfeit versions of classic titles such as Super Mario Brothers, Street Fighters, and Star Wars. So yeah, there's.
Has
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, has China ever considered just outlawing fakes?
Apparently not. Uh, and if everybody was curious, yeah, the pound. Sorry, it was a pound. For 40 million pounds is equivalent to 52,566,000 US dollars. So
Mm.
that's a big trafficking stop right
It's
there.
kind of it's kind of crazy when you think about it that if it costs you $1,000 to make a convincing fake, if you can pass it off, then it is worth it for you to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, I just was going through the news some more, and then there's some other news that was from in 2021. Apparently, a sealed copy of Mario Party or Mario Super Mario 64 sold for 1.1 million pounds at an auction.
That was a rather controversial sale that had a lot of supposed fixing associated with it, so I wouldn't take that as gospel for how much a sealed copy of Mario 64 is actually worth.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I know they're really a lot of games are way too expensive nowadays. So they overcharge, and it's like, why? Here, my screen went kind of dark.
Old Pokemon games are the worst. Like Pokemon XD is like $200. Pokemon
Mhm.
Emerald is like $200. Heart Gold Soul Silver is like $200.
Yeah.
There was one time when I was cleaning a shelf and I had like a pile of like every Pokemon game made for the DS, and I think I snapped a picture of it and I posted it online, and I was just like, "Hey guys, I just found $5,000 on my shelf."
Yeah, I was actually gonna buy. So he did Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness, and Pokemon Coliseum. I was like, I'm gonna go pick him up. Oh, never mind. I'm not picking him up right now. Nope. Too
Nope.
expensive.
The freaking bonus disc, if you want that too. I was so lucky that I had mine from back in the day.
Mm. Yeah, I was. They were so expensive. I'm like,
I'm
wait.
I I can't tell you how glad I am that I'm a GameCube kid and not a PS2 kid, because I didn't know like anybody that had a GameCube though, but like I had a few friends that were really jealous because it had like a few like really good games. And
Hmm.
um, when I got older, all those GameCube games went so long without being re-released in any way, shape, or form that they were all hundreds of dollars now. I have every GameCube Mario Party. That alone is like $500.
Yeah, yeah, those are really good price games nowadays. Even though the N64 ones are like expensive, it's like, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna before we get into the big meat and potatoes of the podcast, I'm gonna ask you 5 questions for people to get to know you a little bit better.
All right, all right.
So
I'm not single. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
oh man, that was good. Uh, what? So you came up with the name Chuggaaconroy, but did you have an original name before you chose Chuggaaconroy, or was Chuggaaconroy the always going to be your name?
No, I didn't have a name before this. Chuggaaconroy has been my username since I was, I think, 7 years old.
Oh wow, okay, that's a while.
um, yeah, I shudder to think like what things might exist like tied to that username though. But like I have had that name since I was 7 years old. The first instance of it was Cartoon Orbit, if you remember that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yep. Did you? How did you come? I guess since we're on this name, how did you come up with the name Chuggaaconroy?
It was suggested to me by a random username generator.
Oh, well, that's lucky then.
And it just happened to be really catchy, so I kept it.
Yeah, now it's worth a
I
lot more
did
money.
I didn't have much creativity when I was 7 years old.
Oh, don't worry, me either. My email address actually is actually my sport I played, my position and my number for that specific sport. So I was boring. So you've done a lot of collaborations with TRG, which is Proton John, Nintendo Capri Sun, and Chuggaaconroy for everybody that doesn't know. And you got the name TRG from Earthbound,
Hmm.
which is one of the bands that plays in the Earthbound game.
Yeah, it was. I suggested the Runaway 3, and John's like, I don't like that because like that limits us for like having other people in the future. What about the Runaway Guys? And that was how he chose it.
Yep. At that point, you're sexist. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, there's some problem with every name, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So you actually have been doing, like I said, we're doing some collabs, but what was a collab that you're like, man, this is gonna be, this is a collab I want to do, but it may not work out, but it worked out, in the end for you both or for you
Um,
guys.
So a lot of people think that John had to twist my arm for us to play Little Big Planet or something like that. No, Little Big Planet was my idea, and I
Oh.
was the one who was pushing for it. Which people are like, "Whoa, but it's a PlayStation game." I'm like, "Yeah, no, we do videos on non-Nintendo stuff. It's just you don't watch them." But uh, yeah, I really liked the Little Big Planet Let's Plays back in the day, especially Little Big Planet 2, and I thought it was just kind of a shame they didn't get as much attention as the others because they weren't Nintendo.
Hmm.
But I think they turned out good in the end, at least by back then standards. I haven't gone back and watched them in a long time, and I know that Little Big Planet 1 had a lot of yelling in it because, of course, it did. It was 2010.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see, Little Big, yeah, it was that was on PS3, I think at that point, right?
PS3. Little Big Planet 2 is one of my favorite PS3 games, period. It's really good.
Man, that makes me feel so old when I hear how old something is now. It's like, oh crap. Um, now, you've done collabs with Super Genius. You've done collabs with oh my goodness, Josh Jepson, I'm another big fan of his. I would put you and him and Nintendo Capri Sun all on my Let's Play Mount Rushmore. So
Poor John. I'm kidding.
see, John, I would have him on there now, but John just he doesn't do Let's Plays as much anymore. He kind of when he went and did more of the streaming. So I'm like,
Hmm.
but with TRG, I mean, you all are great, and I love you all. So
No,
I love
thank you.
watching you guys and stuff. Thank you for Sonic Adventure LP, by the way. I never thought that would happen, and that was one of my favorite Let's Plays by on TRG.
It's definitely an experience.
Oh my goodness, watching y'all die every time within
I
2 seconds.
yeah, just so long without any progress being made.
Hmm. Froggy.
Yeah.
Now, you are since you are a Let's Play or LPer or Let's Player, what is your favorite thing about being an LPer?
Um, I'm a weirdo, and I actually really like video editing when no one else does. I've been my own editor from the very beginning, and I don't really plan on changing that. I've done some video essay stuff in the recent years, and I hired an editor for those, and
Hmm.
they're great, but I just kind of like the amount of myself that I can put into something by being the recorder and the editor and having ideas in mind when I record it.
And then you can make fun of yourself in the past because you screwed up something, right?
Yeah, like I'll know exactly how I'd want to present a joke in editing, or exactly like what I would want to do visually to accompany like a stupid thing that I say. And I just kind of feel like some of that would be lost if I was just delivering notes to an editor, you know?
Definitely, I understand that
I can
completely.
also record things. I can also re-record things in post if I personally don't like them.
Mhm. Yep, I'm not that talented yet, everybody. So I'll learn how to do that eventually.
The best acting tip I can give for re-recording stuff in post is to always take a breath at the beginning of your take, so it sounds like you're gasping for air in the middle of a live commentary. That's my secret.
Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. Wow, I didn't. That
Yeah,
helped.
it's one way that you can really get the acting right. I also recommend like saying like the end of the last sentence out loud and just cutting it out in post.
Oh, see, look at that. I'm learning some tips of the tricks. So you've done a lot of LPs. It'll be on number 50, single LPs. Was there any
Hmm.
game that you chose to LP and you're like, man, I don't know if I should do this Let's Play, but I really want to do it, but you weren't sure if it was gonna be accepted by everybody that watches your LPs.
I was pretty scared of a few of them. Believe it or not, Xenoblade One was a pretty big departure at the time. I hadn't
Hmm.
done like something that big and story driven and voice acted and all those things at once. Like different Let's Plays had those things individually. Like Okami was big and epic, but it wasn't voice acted. Believe it or not, I think I did. I think I did Kirby's Epic Yarn because that was a very lighthearted game that had voice acting, and I wanted to get used to like coming back from scenes that were being narrated and like knowing like what to say and what not to say before a voice acted cutscene would begin. So I
Hmm.
experimented a little bit there to kind of get used to the commentary before doing something more serious. Um, I also wasn't sure how Animal Crossing New Leaf would be received or Splatoon because they were so different
Hmm.
from like I mean there were other Animal Crossing Let's Plays at the time, but there weren't very many of them, and Splatoon Let's Plays were usually just the story mode and didn't attempt to go into all aspects of the game like I did. I feel like the Splatoon Let's Play was very much a new creation,
Hmm.
and I wasn't sure how those were going to go over. And I remember the day that Splatoon was announced, like there was like a little bit of negativity here and there, but as time passed by and like the video started coming out, that kind of went away.
How hard was it to actually record Splatoon? Because I know the Wii U gamepad is kind of how you shoot and stuff like that. Was it kind of difficult
Yeah, so
having to do
I
it?
have a modded gamepad that allows video recording through USB.
Oh, okay.
I had to use that. It was pretty big recording size because I was recording two screens at once, with one of them being HD at least. Um, there was a really big hurdle with recording Splatoon, and this is as deep into this topic as I will go.
All
What I'm
right.
about to say right here. I want you to imagine trying to include Miiverse in an online game and showing off all the art, but recording during the 2016 election.
Ooh.
I want you to imagine that. There were a lot of good takes that I couldn't use because I was trying to not have that in my video, and it genuinely delayed recording a lot. Where I contemplated maybe dropping the Miiverse stuff from the videos, maybe like turning off the Miiverse art during matches and stuff like that. And I really didn't want to do that, but
Hmm.
it made it very difficult.
Like, oh, that was a great show. Oh, no.
Or like I'll walk up like, "Oh, what do you say?" I'm cutting that out.
Oh, yeah. Can't use that. Um, so the last question I have for you before we get into meat and potatoes, what is your favorite game of all time? I have a guess, and I'm pretty sure I know. You said it in one of your Let's Plays, but
So, oh, sorry.
go ahead. No.
So I knew that this was probably going to get asked. I was thinking about it on a drive home earlier. Um, I've had different answers over the years. I am not really sure anymore.
Mm,
Where I said Xenoblade 1 for a lot of years. I do think some aspects of that game are kind of dated now,
Hmm.
but it is still really excellent. Gosh, I did say that I like Xenoblade 3 more than Xenoblade 1. That's something. Earthbound is always a top pick. That was my answer for probably at least a decade of my life.
Yeah.
Those are all viable choices, I would say.
Yeah, that's the one that popped in my head was Earthbound because of watching, because I watched Steven vlog a lot and he was over at your place a couple
Hmm.
times and
Hmm.
yeah, that whole collection that you have over there. I was like, yep.
I don't really collect Earthbound stuff anymore because they make way too much Earthbound merchandise and it's always only released in Japan and it's like
Mhm.
$70 to ship a box from Japan and you have to pre-order every time otherwise they run out, so it's a new box like every month and it's I got so tired of it. I'm just like, if you're going to release like a new wave of Earthbound merchandise, just do it all at once. Like don't
Mhm.
do it in waves like this. And they also said that it was going to be a year of Mother merchandise though, but they're now in their 4th year of doing it and it still isn't letting up.
Yeah, that's nuts. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting for Mother 3 to come stateside, but that's never gonna happen.
Hmm.
I did the legal thing and bought one of the fan translations. Sorry.
I mean, we all played the patch.
Mm. So what am I? We're getting the meat and potatoes now. Your YouTube beginnings. Was this? You said, like you said a little bit ago, this is not something that you thought would go on for as long as it went on. But how did you get involved or get started with the Let's Playing?
I'd watched a lot of other Let's Players over the years. Or not over the year. I guess Let's Playing had been a thing for about a year at that point. 2007 was like when it really got started. But yeah, I'd watched a lot of other Let's Players. John made me want to do it. That he was a big inspiration. There was a lot of like older Let's Players like Deceased Crab that I watched. I saw a smile of recognition when I said his name.
Yep, yep.
Um,
Watched a lot of
yeah, it
his
was
stuff.
just I'd watched a lot of Let's Plays, and then I kind of started talking to myself. So I grew up talking to myself a lot, and I decided to start doing it while playing video games to try to like narrate it. And I realized that I could do that fine, and that was sort of what made me want to get started at it. So I had practice.
Yeah, yeah. I grew up talking to myself too, so
Hmm.
it's one of those things like, oh man, I like this. That's kind of you, like you and Proton John and Nintendo Capri Sun, Deceased Crab,
Hmm.
HC Bailey.
HC Bailey's still active. Like I
Yeah,
saw him post a video the other day. I think he's doing the Thousand Year Door remake right now.
yeah. It's and I mean, all you guys were big, um, big people I wanted to watch, and I was like, I gotta figure out how to do this, and I watched Nintendo Capri Sun when he did the recorder Let's Plays where he recorded with the camera. That was
Do
back
you
in the day.
do you remember when Tim and I let's played we both let's played Super Mario Sunshine at the same time and then we both did Wind Waker next?
Yep. Yep, I remember that.
That was
I
funny.
I
And
was
that was my
yep.
first Zelda game too, so I especially didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I love that was about to say I loved how you opened Zelda with the whole credit scene that and everything like that. That
Oh
was
yeah, that I
stuff I
was really
loved.
proud of that editing back in the day. I wish the recording quality was better and I wasn't doing composites so that I could zoom in on things and have it not look terrible, but
Mhm.
I was really proud of that at the time, just giving it like a little intro sequence.
Yeah.
Funny thing, the song that I used there, I kept getting messages that entire Let's Play being like, "Hey, have you seen this Wind Waker remix? It's really good." And I'm like, "Yeah, I used it in the first episode."
That
I don't
is
know why
hilarious.
though, but I kept getting that message all the time like, "Yeah, look at this. It's really good. I think you'll like it."
Have you seen
uh,
this? Yeah, did you now you were you started with Earthbound as we shown. Did you kind of because I know you did RPGs for a while. Was it just easier to record RPGs at that point and before dipping your toes into like Super Mario RPG or Super Mario Sunshine for example?
it was just what I knew. A little bit after I got started, I kind of saw that there was a bit of a stigma around doing RPG Let's Plays where Let's Playing got it started something awful. And in addition to video Let's Plays, there were also text Let's Plays that had accompanying screenshots. There was sort of this mindset that RPGs or any game that's going to be longer than like 20 episodes
Hmm.
should just be a screenshot and text let's play, because no one wants to watch you grinding for hours on end in an RPG. You know, it's just not entertaining to watch. You know, you don't want to spoil people on like a story driven experience. That was kind of like a lot of the mindset back then. But I think that my willingness to do a lot of editing and try to condense things and try to make it a lot more snappy and fast paced, I think was part of the reason that, you know, I was able to, you know, do that.
Hmm.
I will say it was a really bad limitation that videos could only be 11 minutes long back in the day, and these games were so freaking long as it was. So it was a huge boon when they finally unshackled everybody from the time limit.
Yeah, I never understood that why they had the time limit, but I was like,
Oh,
man.
I can answer that.
Oh, okay.
It's because they thought that it would combat piracy if people had to be bothered to split everything up into 3 parts to upload a 30-minute TV episode.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
Because there's people that like would upload that stuff but don't know how to work video editing software, so it added another barrier, allowing them to combat piracy at least a little bit.
Huh. I never thought of that. That's
Mm-hmm.
actually smart.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad it's not anymore, but now everybody
Yeah,
can
I
put
mean,
whatever.
I remember there was an upload of the movie Wall-E that had like 1 million views that didn't get taken down for like a week a few weeks ago. I don't know how that slipped through, but I guess it did.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Now, you were doing mostly Nintendo Let's Plays. When did you decide, you know what, I'm gonna go, because I remember you did a couple Let's Plays that were non-Nintendo. Okami was technically a PS2 Wii game, so when did
Mm-hmm.
you decide that you wanted to go away? Because I know TRG you guys do a lot more non-Nintendo LPs
It's not it's
kind
not
of.
explicitly a limitation of mine. I I just don't do anything that I don't think would be a good idea.
Hmm.
Is really as simple as that is. Like I just if I think it'll make for a good video, I'll do it. And it just so happens to be a lot of what I knew, what I grew up with, what I have a lot of background in, what I've already researched a lot.
Hmm.
Um, so that's really all it is.
Makes sense. Yeah, I understand that completely. Yeah, I uh I was always kind of, whenever I got a new Nintendo game, yours or Nintendo Capri Suns would be the first ones I come to, because it seemed like you guys knew more about those Nintendo games than anybody else in the world.
I don't know if I'd go that far. Super Mario Broth definitely makes me look very small, but
Now, did you like think that you would ever make it as big as you did, and when you first started, or was it kind of
I
like
mean,
just
of
something
course,
to
of course not. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought, you know, Proton John was like now and forever the king of Let's Plays, and like no one else would ever like challenge him because, you know, he's incredibly funny and cool, and I'm not. So that was
do?
how I thought of it.
Yeah, I disagree completely. I think you're one of the most hilarious LPers out there. So,
Hmm.
but I did you ever like have any weird guests or people that you met like at cons or something like that, and you're like, wow, they've this is an odd conversation I'm having right now.
Um, Not really. My number of negative viewer experiences I can probably count on one hand. And if you're worrying that you are one of those people, I assure you that you're not, because I always get people that are like, "Oh no, I'm so awkward. I'm so sorry. I'm so awkward." I'm like, of all the things you could be, like, why would I be ashamed of you being awkward? Like, I would rather that you be that than so many other things. And besides, you know, we're all nerds here. Come on. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's very rare that I've ever had any kind of negative viewer experience. I'm trying to think if there's like one that I would tell. I try to not like put people on
Yeah, yeah.
blast, so
No, I understand that completely.
I had a true story was that there was somebody who was kicked out of one of our panels because let's just say they got very excited when I would talk. That's all I'm going to say there.
All right.
But yeah, that was something that happened. Somebody got rather excited when I would talk, and security ended up removing them from the panel because they were caught doing things they shouldn't have been doing.
Oh, oh wow.
Yeah,
Alrighty then.
that's probably the worst I've had.
Wow. did you ever, when you were actually going out and doing something, did you ever have anybody come up to you and go, "Hey, are you Chuggaaconroy?" And like actually
Yeah,
meet?
I would say I get recognized in my daily life maybe like once a month if I'm not at a convention. If I am at a convention, it happens a lot.
How did you feel like the first time that someone came up to you and actually recognized you after, doing the Let's Plays that you did?
I think the first time it ever happened was somebody making my sandwich at Publix in 2008 or maybe
Wow.
2009. 2009. I think that was
Okay.
the first time it ever happened, and they just told me that they appreciate what I do and handed me my sandwich, and that was all there was to it. And that of course made me just like skip for the rest of the day.
Publix they have some good subs at Publix. I won't lie.
Oh yeah, they do.
Once I moved down to Florida, man, I tried Publix and I was like, that's a good sub. That's a really good sub. And then,
Uh-huh.
being from the north, we had Kroger and stuff like that, Walmart, Kroger, Meyer, which.
Hmm.
But did you wow, my brain just went completely dead. I just thought about Publix sub and my brain just went completely dead.
We've all been there.
Now, how did you get mixed up with Proton John and Nintendo Capri Sun?
God, you make it sound like they were bad influences and got me into drugs or something.
Yep, yep.
Let's see.
That's what happened.
Well, I mean, I got to know both of them just from existing in the same space, and a lot of people comparing us and talking about us, and and I had gotten to a call with John where we talked about possibly doing videos together at one point, and we considered making it its own channel, and just as a code name, we called the channel Kaizo, just as a joke. We weren't going to ever call it that though, but it was just the code name that we chose for it, so we could discuss it around other people, and they wouldn't know like what was coming and all that, and it was just like a funny name to give it. Um, and then Tim was who we talked about being like our first guest on the show,
Hmm.
but it ended up becoming a trio, and we decided it would be more interesting to have a fourth player slot that would rotate out instead of a third and fourth, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And we met up at our first MagFest, and yeah, that's where we recorded our first Mario Party.
Was Mario Party always gonna be the first Let's Play you guys did, or was it kind of something else, and then you went,
Yeah,
Mario Party will be easy.
I was pretty set on Mario Party being the first one, and we all liked the idea well enough, I think. Tim wasn't too experienced with Mario Party at the time, but John was.
Hmm. Yeah, I can definitely see some of the games that NCS is like, yeah, I've never actually played this before, or
Yeah,
something like that.
it happened quite a lot in the early days.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about Tim is that he doesn't play a lot of newer games though, but he's really good at retro stuff. And
Hmm.
like, if we were to, hypothetically do a let's play of, NES remix, he'd be all over it.
Definitely, yeah. Now, Battletoads is a three, or the new one's three players. Would you ever think about doing something like that?
I don't know. We did a three-player game with Secret of Mana. That was
Yeah.
and that was a game that Tim was incredibly well versed in. He was the one who was carrying us through it and talking about all the fun trivia about its development and everything. And it was kind of cool just getting to sit back and let someone else do that.
Do you enjoy doing more of the three-player ones or having a guest on more?
It really depends. There's I always felt kind of bad for Jake because we had a really bad recording trip that was just marred by a lot of outside factors. We've told these stories before where I got food poisoning and was not able to control my bowels like that week. John was going through some like really bad stuff in his personal life. Tim was sick. And I always kind of felt bad for Jake, that super genius, that he got that specific trip, because I'm just like, you deserve better than like seeing us at our lowest like this. Um, so some guests have turned out really well. Tom was hilarious. I thought he was a natural fit. I don't really dislike working with any person in our group, so
Yep. And their first guest was actually Josh Jepson when you guys did Super Mario Wii.
yeah, it's the new Super Mario Brothers Wii.
Yep.
I recently re-recorded the Meet the Jepsons intro for that because he wanted it as a stream alert, so he had me sing it again, and so it wouldn't sound as staticky.
That was a great beginning to a Let's Play that. episode that I about died.
Yeah, every Mario Let's Play, I do a sequel to that.
Now, was there any, I was there any like games that you all three have like been like, yeah, I want to do this game, but then one of the other two you was like, no, I just don't see that going anywhere, not being a good fit or something like that.
I don't really like want to talk about that because there's a possibility that ideas could get revisited in the future.
Makes sense.
So I don't like deconfirming stuff or saying that like, oh yeah, this will not happen or anything like that.
That makes sense. Yeah, I understand that completely. Yeah, now, uh, what was there anybody that you've actually collaborated with besides, obviously, Proton, John, Nintendo Capri Sun? You're like, you were fangasming, kind of like what I'm doing right now, where I'm just kind of talking. I'm not sure why I'm talking still, but I'm still talking. But was there anybody like freaked out, like actually getting a collab with?
Not, I wouldn't really say so. I'm usually pretty quiet when talking to other YouTubers, admittedly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I won't lie. When you guys first got together and started doing Let's Plays, and then when you first had Josh Jepson on, I was like, holy crap, this is like, amazing. This is like four Let's Players I've watched, all the years. And then all of a sudden you were getting like Steven George from Steven Plays was on it. And I'm like, holy, like, wow, this is insane. And then I'm like, now you start thinking about like, I want, I'm gonna let them know we want this person or this person. There's this person. I'm like, nope, nope, don't do that. Nope, don't do that. They'll figure out who they want to do and they'll do it and everything like that. But then there's still that part of my back of my brain. It's like, yeah, if you tell them they'll do it. If you tell them, I'm like, nope. So I was like, more what's the word I'm looking for? Uncomfortable with talking to like you guys. I'm like, I don't want to say anything that'll be dumb. Ironically, everybody, my first Twitter tweet that I sent out was actually to Chuggaaconroy way back in the day. So I don't remember if you remember this or not. Probably won't.
Mm.
But so me and my ex-girlfriend, we were together for 3 years, and she was on Twitter, and I got on Twitter, and I actually wrote a I was gonna write a tweet and it wasn't to her, it wasn't involving her at that point, and she got upset with me and I was like, okay. So then I put the story out. I said I was going to put a tweet out to Chugga Conroy, and the girlfriend got mad, and I guess though I missed is how I put it, and I tagged you in it.
I don't know. I've heard a lot of "Do I Miss" jokes over the years, so picking out one from 15 years ago, I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
is too
no.
possible for me.
No, no, I understand that completely. It was just funny that I was like, man, that's, I was like, you were the first person that liked one of my tweets. And I was like, I was freaking out, everything like that. So I am sorry, everybody. I'm fangasming. This is one of my
No, it's cool.
big podcasts. I've never, like I said, done stuff like this with anybody, besides, just did one with, I've done like Build and Fajito, who's somebody I was looked up to. He was Chicken Fajita 12.
Yeah, his
Um,
old username. When I
yeah.
realized he was the same guy, I freaked out because I'm like, "Oh my god, you were everywhere back in the day!" Like I remember that name.
Yep, yeah. I will tell you that was one of the people that I always had in the back burner. I was like, I really would love to see what you guys could do because you all had the same kind of humor with each other. So I was like, man, that'd be great. That's one of the four that I was always thinking about. There's three others, but I'm not gonna bring those up because that's just odd. Um, Now with TRG, do you do most of the editing?
No, I've not been the editor for TRG for a long time. For a long time, it's been Motion Dan.
Mhm.
He's done the editing.
Okay, yeah, I remember a lot of the stuff that Stephen George did and that you guys or that you guys had done a little bit. I remember seeing that he was involved, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." Because I watched the vlog, and obviously he's been on the vlog for years with Stephen vlog.
Hmm.
I just sound like I'm fangasping this whole time. I'm just sitting here going,
No, no, no. You're
and this is the last podcast that Chugga Conroy ever does with JDUB and friends. Um, no, did you what? Now you started with YouTube with your YouTube beginnings. You did The Dazzle, right? That was
Yeah,
your
I had a Dazzle
first.
DVC 100. That was like the capture card to own back in the day.
Now, do you see a big difference between like when you upgraded? Like, I guess you went
Oh,
like
of
from the.
course. Dazzle was terrible. I remember that the software that it came with barely worked, and it was like a miracle if it recorded when you wanted it to record. So it was better to just use the built-in video recorder for Windows Movie Maker. And then there was like a new version of Windows Movie Maker that came out with Windows 7, and they removed the ability to record video from it. And I'm like, why would you remove that? That was the one thing I liked about this program, was how easy that was to just hit a button to start recording and it works. But then you had to find other programs. OBS didn't exist back then, so recording with that was a no-go. So you had to like go online, find some video recording program, and all the good ones wanted to charge you money. It's just yeah, it was really awful to work with the Dazzle for that reason. And then eventually Hapaj came around, and that was the big brand to have then, and they had their own recording software, and it didn't run great, but it was at least better than having to find some recorder for the Dazzle that may or may not work. um Went from that. Hapaj did a few iterations, and then they kind of lost the market share to Elgato, which was like the big one to have after that. um Elgato, I would say, is still pretty dominant to this day. I think they were the company that put out the first like 4K USB-C capture card last year. I remember that there wasn't like a 4K capture card that wasn't PCIe for a bunch of years. But they finally made one that was USB-C after so long, I think. And I don't do 4K, so I just have an EVGA XR1, which is a pretty inexpensive capture card to own. I think you can find them online for like 40-50 bucks, which for a 1080p capture card that's USB-C, it can't get much better than that.
That's not bad at all. No, I actually got the Elgato HD60 for free.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was actually in a uh, guy's stream that was an ex-football player and played for my Philadelphia. I'm a big fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't have a jersey on, but have hats over there. But actually, they asked a question that was what is the most deadly villain in Super Mario history?
Hmm.
And I actually answered the first. I was the first person to answer it, and I was like the Goomba from World 1-1 and Super Mario Brothers, because apparently everybody would run and then run right into him.
Apparently, that was the answer they were looking for.
Yep. Yep. At that point, actually got somebody in the chat, a loyal gamer. Just did a podcast with him last week, which is nice.
Oh, hi. I've known a
Uh,
loyal gamer for over a decade.
yeah, good guy, good guy. But he wanted to meet. He just said the train is late.
Oh, the train is late. That was a. The origin of that is so innocuous that I can't believe that we ever quoted it. It was Josh Jepson was coming over to record with us, and he had to take a train. And as soon as they said that he was taking a train, I just went, "The train is late!" And there was an awkward pause, and I think we just laughed afterward. And the train wasn't late; it was on time, and he got there when he said he was going to get there. But then we just told him about it, and we kept saying it throughout the weekend in that same tone, and it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, that. Yeah, I remember watching the Let's Plays like that you did, Thousand Year Door or whatever, when that took place on the train, and that's kind of one of the things that popped in my head too when y'all were talking about that stuff. I'm like, oh, makes I understood that reference.
Hmm.
But now, did you is there any well, I guess I won't ask that because that'll be a future type thing that I was gonna ask. But do you have future things that you want to do in the future for your Let's Play channel? Obviously, besides Let's Play 50, are you gonna try eventually get to 100?
I don't know about 100, but I haven't thought that far ahead. I have an idea that's unlike anything that exists as of right now,
Ooh.
um, which would be like the third or fourth time I've done an idea like that, where there isn't really a let's play like it.
Mhm.
It was it's going to take a lot of money to do, so I don't know how likely it is to come to fruition. But I do at least have an idea that I want to do that would be unlike anything else.
Now, I'm gonna ask a question. I asked NCS this the last the stream or the podcast that kind of went. bad because nothing
Mm-hmm.
worked. Did
Oh.
did you when you first, because you make your living off YouTube, correct?
Uh-huh.
Now, did you how excited were you when you got your first check from YouTube? Like, were you surprised about how like big or small it was at that point?
That was my smallest paycheck I ever got. Was my first one.
Mm.
Uh, I remember my mom being really happy for me, and I remember going out and like buying like a nice TV because I had had like just an old crappy TV for a long time. Um, I also bought a complete inbox copy of Earthbound as a way of saying I made it. It was $200 back then, and I remember people telling me, "You spent $200 on a video game? On an old video game? What were you thinking?" And I'm like, "Well, it's my favorite game ever." They're like, "Still, it's $200 for an old video game." And I'm like, nowadays that is worth over $2,000.
Hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
So no, it was an excellent investment.
Yeah, definitely one of those things that has gone up in price. Now, do you worry, I guess, do you worry about like, oh crap, my let's or this video is not doing as well as I'd like it to? Do you ever get worried about like the checks coming from YouTube at that point, or are you
I
kind of
try to
like,
not
eh?
I try to not really think about it as dollar amounts. Like
Mhm.
I've just always kind of said like, I make money to make videos, not the other way around.
That makes sense. Yeah, start
Hmm?
that again. Do you have any advice for Let's players that want to get involved, or anybody that does um creation with videos and stuff like that?
Um I feel like you kind of have to want to make videos where anybody that I've seen really try to start it as a career usually was not able to sustain it.
Hmm.
Um I feel like you do have to kind of love what you do, and that comes through in the work. Where people, I think viewers are smarter than they give themselves credit for, and they can tell all sorts of little things about it that even they might not consciously realize. They can tell if your heart's not in it.
I understand that completely. Yeah. Yeah, I remember one of the Let's Plays that
It.
you. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was gonna say it's a ground rule of mine that I never force a recording. I only record if I legitimately want to,
Hmm. Yeah, definitely
and
understand
if
that.
that doesn't happen for weeks, then I just don't record for weeks.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that completely. I remember one of your Let's Plays, you were sicker than a dog and tried to push through it for one episode, and you're like, nope.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. I remember watching your Super Mario RPG and or RPG Super Mario Sunshine LP, and I was just telling this that why I told everybody at the beginning of the stream that I didn't graduate college because I was playing that game. But I remember you were talking about that in one of your Legend of Zelda episodes for Wind Waker, and you're like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that Let's Play." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "That was one at that point. That was one of my favorite Let's
Oh,
Plays at that point."
yeah, a
Because
lot. I remember getting a lot of comments about. I think it was during Majora's Mask that I mentioned that
yeah,
actually. It was. I had a really, gosh, how would I even describe this? Uh, I briefly dated somebody, and they turned out to be really horrible in a lot of ways,
mhm.
and it was kind of hard to get them out of my life. So I was going through that at the time,
Oh yeah, I understand
and
that
then
completely.
and then like there was also a lot of stuff just kind of falling apart in my personal life at the time.
Mm,
I don't think so negatively about it now, but there was just a lot of like bad stuff going on at the time, and I remember when it was going on, I was just thinking to myself like, God, why does this have to be the one that like everyone's watching and is like the biggest hit? Because like, man, at least like let it be one where I'm actually happy during it.
yeah, yeah. I remember I was blown away because I couldn't figure out how to get to certain things, how to do certain things, and all of a sudden you came along, and I'm like, all of a sudden learning how to play Super Mario Sunshine like easily. I'm like, what in
Hmm.
the world? Now, do you ever, when that came back out as a set of the trio, that Super Mario 64 and Galaxy, were you surprised that they were only limited run for Nintendo when they did that, or was it kind of something you're like, Nintendo just wants to make their money?
I think it was completely silly that they said it was limited time, especially because it wasn't. You could find that game at retail like for so much longer than that, and for discounted prices too. It was so silly that like they said it was like a limited time thing, or that they even tried to enforce that because it freaking wasn't.
Now, if you were to let like give somebody an advice for like microphones, because I mean, obviously my microphone doesn't sound great because Turtle Beach, cheap. What would
Mhm.
be a really great microphone for somebody that's either doing podcasts like me or that does recording let's plays like yourself?
I gotta be blunt. You probably know this better than I do. I don't really make podcasts, and also I don't really know what the good inexpensive option is for it because I use an audio interface, which is a lot of money, and I've been using that for like I've been using audio interfaces for probably about 10 years at this point, and
Oh,
I haven't really had a need to look into cheap, affordable starting microphones because I've just done the initial investment to own an audio interface.
okay, yeah. Now, did you have a favorite mic that you started with?
I mean, I'm sure whatever mic I thought was good all those
It's
years
still
ago isn't
good.
going to be good by today's standards. Tim was
No.
still using the Blue Yeti until recently, and then he took one of my USB mics that was, I think, by Sennheiser or something like that, and he loved the quality way more, and he's just been using that ever since.
Man,
Um,
Blue
the
Yeti.
last time that I used a USB mic, I think it was the Blue Yeti.
Whew, that brings back memories. I remember seeing one of those at Best Buy, and I was like, "Wow, I recognize that name." Um, Now I've had you on here for a little bit now, so we're gonna get to what the future holds for you. I know we're not gonna talk about any of your future Let's Plays or anything like that because we're gonna keep those close to your chest because I don't want to know, and I bet the fans don't want to know. But
Well, actually, I'm working. No, I'm kidding.
surprise!
No, I
Wheel of
appreciate that. I like keeping things mysterious and fun.
yeah, surprise! Wheel of Fortune 965 game Let's Play. No, now do you you are gonna I'm gonna guess have some more Let's Plays come in the future, obviously. Uh, are you excited for what the future holds for Chuggaaconroy?
I mean, it's a little nerve wracking, I guess. I guess we'll just kind of see how things play out. I do think what I have coming out for number 50 will make a lot of people happy, though.
Mm. Um, are you
I do
going
tend to
to
worry a lot ahead of release of things, so.
understandable? Are you going to any cons next year? Because this year's almost done.
Uh, I don't know about next year just yet, but I
Mm.
will be doing a convention before the end of the year. There'll be news on that very soon. I just don't want to say anything publicly because I haven't cleared that with the convention staff, though. But I will be at a convention and doing a panel.
Nice. That'll be cool. Yeah, I'm sadly I missed all your panels because one, I was a broke bitch. But I could never get the time off to actually go to a con when I worked at Courier.
Based on what you've told me about yourself, I think you might actually be able to make this one. Might.
Oh, okay. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I'd love to just meet you and I'm not gonna be like, oh, I gotta be meet him and give him a hug and all that. No, no.
I mean, I'm not opposed to hugs.
No, I couldn't. I would never, be. Everybody has a personal bubble, I've learned that over years. Being almost 35 now, it's like I just go with the flow and relax, and do what I gotta do. Um, do you do you see yourself doing a lot more collabs in the future? You would like to do collabs, I guess,
Yeah,
with like podcasters and stuff like that.
I'd very much like to. I did a recording last night with a longtime friend and a couple of other people too. We kicked ass fast in Splatoon, which was great. We played the Grand Festival.
Okay.
That's coming out, I think, pretty soon. They said a few more days on the editing. Um, I recorded lines for somebody's Mystery Dungeon Let's Play where they wanted me to be the voice at the beginning asking the questions, and I was pretty proud of that. Yeah, like, yeah, if people want to collab, like, I'm open to the idea.
There you go. Here for your first, ladies and gentlemen. Ironically, though, when you said that, so I had this big idea, in the future, way in the future, not going to happen anytime soon because one, I'm not, big enough to get a lot of the people I'd like to get. But you had your big, love with Xenoblade Chronicles. That was like your baby when you first started it.
Mhm.
So everybody's gonna make fun of me. But did you ever play Legend Dragoon?
No, but I'm familiar with it. I know that the main character is named Dart, and I know
Yep.
that there's a guy named Lavitz in it.
Yep. All right. So you know a little bit enough. So my big thing, because it was I wanted to do let's play of it, and what I you're actually Xenoblade Chronicles and some of the other let's plays that you did after Xenoblade Chronicles, I could it was like like there's so much that you could do with this Xenoblade Chronicles 2 storyline. It's like all the stuff that it come up with, create and everything like that. I'm like, man, this gives me an idea. And then so in the future I might actually call you up on this, but I want to do a let's play of Legend Dragoon. And I told Tim
Hmm.
this on my last podcast too, because I looked up to you guys, and there is no voice acting in Legend Dragoon.
Mm.
So I want to get some Let's Players I looked up to actually do some of the voices for some of the characters throughout the game, which I thought would be kind of cool, and it'd be kind of a big who's who of Let's Plays, and
Hmm.
um, yeah. But like when I did this, when I asked you to do this podcast with me, I never expected. Yes, I expected to be like, no, I'm sorry, I'm way busy. I'm like, once you said yes,
Oh.
I was like, oh, all right. Let me not screw this up. I literally talked to Bill the Fajita. I messaged him after I got your email back saying, "Yeah, I'd love to do. I've been watching your, a few of your podcasts, and I'm enjoying them." And I'm like, I immediately wrote to him on Discord. I was like, "What do I say to not screw this up?"
You can relax. You can relax. Like we're all fine here.
Yeah.
I'll warn you that if you want to do that idea,
Hmm.
getting external voice actors and timing text boxes in a video game to that voice acting is really hard. You might need to get like a dump of the script, get the voice acting done, and then edit it all together the way that you want it to sound, and then play it for yourself while you're hitting the A button. Because if you have obvious cuts, like every time you're going to hit the A button,
Hmm.
it's not really going to work. It's nasty to like time that stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah, I
So there's a reason why I've like never done it for more than like a scene or two.
did. Yeah. Did you have, I guess I'll ask one more question and I'll let you go because I've kept you for over an hour right now.
Oh, no, you're good. Thank you.
But did you have a favorite I guess game that you were like, I'm excited that I did this, and I was, not wanting to let anybody down, but the way I did it worked perfectly, and I'm so happy that I, had to have done this. It's my favorite kind of let's play, I guess, at that point.
I, I I mean, I don't think that anything I've done is executed perfectly. There's always things I wish I could have done better, and I feel like being plagued with that dissatisfaction is part of what just makes me always want to strive to improve.
Mhm.
um, I mean, even like Throne controllers after each show, I have like ideas that I talk over with the guys, and yeah, I thought this category came up too much, or yeah, I wasn't really sure how this like challenge resolved.
Now,
I always call it the patch notes.
now, who came up with the name Throne Controllers? I should ask that, and I totally forgot until just now.
Oh, I think it was John. I think.
Okay.
Um, the show is a culmination of like all three of our ideas,
Hmm.
where each of us came up with parts of it. But I think the name was John's work.
Okay. And then obviously, I'm guessing you're the one that comes up with the prizes at that point.
Yeah, I'm usually the one to procure the prizes. I always call myself the prize department. I came up with the card idea where we print out cards that are individually numbered, and those choose the contestants.
Oh, okay. That,
The cards are also designed to have a lot of blank space in them because I noticed that a lot of people were coming to our meetups and saying, "Crap, I didn't bring anything for you guys to sign." So by design, the cards have lots of empty space so that you can have lots of people sign them.
have you ever signed anything that you're like, this is the best thing I ever signed?
Oh, you're really gonna go there? um, Someone who is a personal friend of mine had me sign her boobs once. We'd known each other for years. It wasn't weird, but they were having like everyone at a convention sign their boobs, even complete strangers, and it's the one time that I've done that.
That's clever. That's great.
Yeah, they were trying to like collect as many signatures as they could.
I would have never even thought of that.
Yeah.
I've been like, here's a Pokemon card.
I mean, Pokemon cards, I mean, some people had me sign like Archeops cards or like cards of Pokemon that I've used over the years.
Oh yeah, definitely. Did you is there any Pokemon that, or I guess what's your favorite Pokemon, since I've asked a lot of people that.
Usually Archeops is what I say. I really like it a lot, and I used it in a Let's Play. It was really good to me. It has a really bad Achilles heel with its ability, though, but when it works, it works.
Yeah, I'm still Gen. I've actually not played past Gen 2, so I'm way behind on the Pokemon.
Ouch. Well, I like Wartortle a lot. That's one of my other answers for early Pokemon.
Yeah. I've been playing Pokemon Go, so I guess that kind of is catching me up on everything. But I'm looking at some of the Pokemon going, what in the
Catching
world?
you up.
Yeah, little pun, dude. No,
Had to get one.
I have always was a big Raichu fan, so yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I've always liked Raichu a lot, and I always felt it was kind of sad it didn't get as much attention as Pikachu. I was so glad when they did Alolan Raichu, because finally they did a new form for Raichu after all these years, because Pichu even got a new form with spiky-eared Pichu
Yep.
in Gen 4, so like Raichu just hadn't really gotten a new form, despite the fact that Pikachu and Pichu had gotten plenty.
Do you since we are in Pokemon, I'll ask you one more Pokemon question, and I'll let you go. I promise.
Okay.
Do you have a Pokemon game that like, or how do you feel like the Pokemon games have gone from like Generation 1 to now, where we're at Generation 9, I think?
Do you want like my full timeline history?
Sure.
All right. Gen 1, really good, has problems. I think it would have been called the worst game if it was anything but the first one, but that is the case with a lot of franchises. It does have an undeniable charm to it. It's definitely more like Mother and like, traditional RPGs.
Mhm.
Gen 2 is where they really got it right, where they figured out the finished product. It felt more like a finished product. It was incredibly ambitious for its time. It was definitely the game that impressed me the most out of anything on the Game Boy. Gen 3, I think, is a step forward in some ways, a step back in others. Emerald is definitely the way to play it. I feel like a lot of ideas were fully realized there. Emerald added a lot to it, brought back some old features. Kind of a shame that you have to buy like $900 worth of stuff to get every Pokemon in Gen 3. It's nasty to complete that, speaking as someone who's done it. Gen 4 started out as nothing, and then Platinum really fixed it and made something out of nothing, and is one of the best Pokemon games, I think. Black and White, incredible game. Did things with the series that I never expected. It was in many ways a dream game for me. Black 2, White 2 may not be as good as the story though, but the gameplay I think might be the best in the entire series. X and Y is okay. I think the negativity for it is a bit overblown. It's not my favorite Pokemon game by any stretch, but I think it's fair. Sun and Moon, I think, is incredibly slept on. It is one of my favorite games in the series. The story and characters and world really resonated with me, as did the new Pokemon. I could write a video essay on how Mimikyu is objectively the best Pokemon ever created, and I might actually do it. Sword and Shield has a gigantic amount of potential, and it has some really good ideas, but it lives up to basically none of it, and it's really a shame because I would love to see a better version of that, but it just doesn't really exist. The DLC makes it better, but I wouldn't call it great. Legends Arceus really brought me back after not being a Pokemon fan for a while. From Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon through Let's Go, I didn't really care about the series that much. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon through Sword and Shield, I didn't really care about the series that much. And Legends Arceus really brought me back in a way I didn't expect. It was my obsession for like a month. I got other people into it, and it was all we talked about. And then Scarlet and Violet, I think the negativity is overblown. The story is really good. The world's at least fun enough to explore, and the characters really resonated with me in a way I didn't expect. And the DLC is fantastic.
Nice. I had a joke, and then it didn't really work at that point. But when you said that it wasn't brought, or one of the games wasn't as good as it could have been, and it didn't complete. But I was about to be like, "What is this, Paper Mario?"
I mean, Paper Mario's issue wasn't that it was broken and unfinished. Paper Mario's issue was that it was just bad.
Yeah. Yep.
It was like they knew how to make a good game, but had civil disobedience to not do it. It's weird.
Yeah, I was blown away by how like I haven't played the Pokemon or the Paper Mario games enough. Right now, I've just got one on the Wii because I bought it when the Wii Shop was a thing.
Hmm.
So I haven't played any of the other ones, but watching how it's gone from like Super Mario or Super Paper Mario to, Paper Mario Sticker Star and all the nasty ones until it got to Origami King, which I guess was decent, kind of getting back
Hmm.
to it. But yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people swear to me Origami King is amazing and good, and I don't know what I'm talking about. But my opinion on Origami King was I loved everything except having to play the actual game. It's like
Actually,
visually, musically, and like so many other ways, it's a masterpiece in those respects, though. But just actually playing it was a chore.
we actually have a chat question in chat before we end. A loyal gamer actually says,
Hmm.
"What are the
Hello.
evolutions of girder?" He said,
Oh, you're referencing a time at PAX East when I was like playing with like a pillow and I was pretending to be Timber, Girder, and oh, actually no, I think you're just asking me to say Conkelder because it's a Conkelder.
"Yeah." He
I
said,
thought you were. I thought a loyal gamer was in the room for that moment. I don't think he was. Never mind. Sorry, it was another PAX that I saw you
"Uh,
at.
no." He said, "He had a world class impersonation of them when we hung out at PAX."
Oh, okay. No, I was right. I was right. I should have doubted
Yep,
myself.
yep. That was
All
actually,
right.
yeah.
Well, thank you for the question.
What's the story behind that question? I guess.
Oh, it was just I had like pillows and I that were like really long and I they were like cylinder shaped and I held one pillow like a timber, I held one pillow over my head like a girder, and then I held two of them in the front and said conkelder.
That makes. I'm gonna ask a
Yeah.
dumb question at this point. Why in the world would you have it called one timber, one girder, and then you just totally go away from like the whole building?
Oh, it's pronounced conkelder.
Ah, okay. So I was like
Yeah, it's
sitting there.
supposed to
I'm
be
like,
like yeah. Yeah, it's
I
pronounced
didn't.
conkelder.
Okay, I was like, I don't
But everybody said
understand.
conkelder.
Okay, that's why I was so confused for the years. I'm like, why? I'm like, it don't make sense with the other two, and then that one being. Oh, okay. Yeah, I always messed up. I always called Suicune sw oh man, how would I pronounce it again? Sukun?
Suicune?
Yeah, I call it like
A lot of people said
Sukun.
Suicune.
Yeah. I was like, what in the world? So I have weird Pokemon names. But I do want to thank you for being on the podcast. I've kept you long enough and I have fangasm long enough, and I think I have to definitely get you on the podcast in the future again, kind of maybe when you're definitely not busy. I don't want to, you got a lot of Let's Plays coming up in your main mind that I can guess, and then you got some, cons and stuff like that coming up, hopefully.
Well,
And
I just finished a Let's Play, so I wouldn't really call myself super busy right now. I wrapped production on the bonus video for Future Connected today, actually.
oh, okay, cool.
Um, but no, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you all for watching this. Yeah, yeah, okay. So, a loyal gamer, it's a great interview. I said, yep, uh-huh. Okay. But Um, now they will find you on Chuggaaconroy or They can find you on twitter.com. I'm still calling it Twitter. I don't care. It's X.
Everyone does.
Twitter.com/Chuggaaconroy, right?
Yep, and Facebook and YouTube.
Cool. So if you want to follow them on any of those channels, it'll probably be 1,259 or something like that now subscriber on YouTube.
I hope.
So
All right, I will see you later.
thank you all for watching.
Bye.